So some are yet to come?
Ma'am, can you wait for 2 minutes?
Okay.
যারা জয়েন করছে স্টুডেন্টরা তারা প্লিজ মাইকটা অফ করে দেয়।
I think HOD ma'am is who is also a part of this faculty in this group. Another 4-5 minutes. So I think we can start because we have a time capping. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, students. So I'm Dr. Arundhati Banerjee, and we have Professor Moushami Nandi also with us, and we also and the part of the presentation, especially the videos, were done by our junior resident, Dr. Bappa Bishash. However, he is not keeping well these days. So we have Dr. Abdul, who is another. We'll be discussing the examination of the respiratory system, right? So we point at a priori, and I hope everybody has gone through them.
Ma'am, your audio is
Hello.
getting cut at some places. Ma'am, could you please check the internet connection once?
Internet connection is from the router. I couldn't opt for a better connection. So, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, it's okay.
From the router. Okay, it's from the router which is given by the college. So it is believed to be the best that we can have at this moment.
Yes, ma'am, we can continue.
Okay, so has everybody seen the video and the? So this is basically a doubt clearing sessions. If you have any doubts, you may unmute and ask the question. So do you have any questions? Then I would be happy to take them.
Hello, ma'am.
No, ma'am. So you have, hello, yeah.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the significance of lymph node enlargement in respiratory system? It was written in general examinations.
So in lymph node examination, which you have to do with respiratory system examination as well. Lymph node examination, if you have an empyema or if you have a pleural effusion and you have a tender lymphadenopathy, or if you have respiratory system and examination findings, which are more commonly associated with tuberculosis, and then you can have matted lymphadenitis, or you can have a scrophulodema, that is a draining sinus in the lymph node. So all these can be corroborative, and actually you are not doing, at your point, you are doing an examination, but the ultimate goal is to reach from the examination history, general examination, anthropometry, you have to reach to a diagnosis, at least formulate 2 or 3 most probable diagnoses, which are your most probable hypothesis. So for that, you need to know a patient in totality, and lymph node in that system, especially in our setup, tuberculosis, malignancy, sarcoid, these are things which can play a role. And in all these cases, they can present with lymphadenopathy. Even the malignant lymphoma and leukemia can present, say, we have patients coming with T-cell lymphoma and leukemia that present with chest mass, empyema, malignant effusion. They can also have significant lymphadenopathy. So, lymph node examination. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So any more questions? I'll be happy to take them. Or do you want any explanation in any part of the PPT? I have it there. I have it here also. I would request all the students to mute themselves because the ancillary sound is disturbing us, the entire class. You want me to explain any videos which were given?
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
how can we elicit vocal fremitus or vocal resonance in a child who cannot talk or cannot understand speech?
So it's a very good question. Sometimes, like an older child who can speak or talk, we always use nasal sounds like teen, teen, teen. But for younger children, it is well written in your textbooks also that even the crying sound is actually used for comparing the vocal fremiters and the vocal resonance. So the crying of the child. So maybe you can provoke crying by taking away some child and give any pain in order to make him cry. But anything which will provoke crying will also help you assess in an informal way. Because you see in children, much of the examination is informal, in small children especially, but you have to reach to a conclusion. So crying is, that is corroborative with any speech that we use, nasal speech. So is it clear?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So any other questions? I would be happy to take them. So have you understood the methods of how to do a respiratory system examination? If you don't have questions, then I might as well ask questions.
Ma'am, how to do percussion in small child, because in any percussion it can hurt the little child. Is there any special way to do it? Or
You percuss your. Sorry. Yes. You complete your question. Then I'll.
yeah, I have completed.
Completed. So your question is, or your doubt is, how to do percussion, because that can hurt the child. But actually, I have mentioned the rules of percussion also if you have gone through the slides. And also our junior resident Bappa has very nicely tried to percuss and show you. So you have to do it. You have and such that, especially the middle finger, such that the left hand middle phalanx is very closely opposed to the surface. Then with the right hand middle phalanx, okay, and such that it is perpendicular. The right hand middle phalanx is perpendicular to the left hand middle phalanx, and the movement should be from the wrist. And actually, you're hitting yourself. You're not hitting the child. So if you can practice and attain that level, but of course, it requires a lot of practice in order to produce that sound also, which will help you click your diagnosis. You have to practice many times. So in our classical teaching, when we were taught, we were asked to practice percussion on tables, on ourselves, so that we get that sound. And if you do it in a proper way, then I'm afraid there won't be any problem in, and of course there won't be any problem in hurting the child. So we have been waiting for the Professor Mosumi Nandi to join, and she is. They are clearing their doubts. So we have ma'am also with us. If you have any questions, you're most free to ask, and we'll be happy to clear your doubts.
Ma'am, I have a question.
So they have, yeah. Please.
Yes, ma'am. In the respiratory system examination in medicine, we were and also in CVS, we were taught to say the NYHA gradation of dyspnea. Is that valid for pediatric patients also, or shall we use some other system for gradation of dyspnea?
Have any system of grading as such?
This is for adults. The grading which you are saying, this is not for pediatric.
And then we shall describe what the child gets dyspnea on. For example, if the child gets dyspnea on crying, we shall.
Yes, that means on exertion. That's on exertion. There is no, in pediatrics, there is no gradation like that.
Breathing after when. Okay, ma'am.
Did you all go through it? So any COVID positive can be asymptomatic, can be symptomatic. There may be mild fever, there may be running nose, there may be cough, there can be even pneumonia. So variety presentation in COVID, but generally children fare well, and a huge number can also be with mild symptoms of just upper respiratory tract involvement.
Yeah, so from the cohort which we are observing in our COVID ward, children mostly are asymptomatic, okay, and if they have symptoms, and the COVID positivity is in association with some other comorbidity, mostly children who have some severe comorbidity like nephrotic syndrome and on syndrome, like children with lupus, like the children with leukemia on chemotherapy, they tend to contract this disease, and they have all children with CNS tumor, glioma, hydrocephalus, which has been shunted. So all these children having some comorbidity, examination in these children, mostly they are asymptomatic. If they have symptoms, they will present like a viral pneumonia. They may have chest retractions. In severe cases, they may have chest retractions and nasal flaring and other signs of respiratory distress. And the signs will be disproportionate to the symptoms. And the chest X-ray findings also will show patchy opacities and like any viral pneumonia. So does that answer your question?
Actually, we are giving more stress on how to the general survey, then respiratory system examination. Did you go through those points in inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation, what you have to do? That is more important in this.
Ma'am, can you please explain the three-finger method of palpation of trachea?
In the three-finger method, I have elaborated for one finger, two finger, three finger. In three finger, what we do is we place, what are the three fingers we place? We place the index, we place the middle, and we place a ring finger on the suprasternal notch. And then we try to feel the movement of the trachea and the position of the trachea with the terminal phalanx of the middle finger. And it should be that we are not feeling the gap. We are just putting it on the sternal notch and trying to assess the position of the trachea as it moves with respiration at the point at which it is hitting the tip of the middle finger. So it requires a lot of expertise. You have to examine a lot of patients.
Practice. That is what I was saying, to practice the inspection, palpation, percussion, and auscultation. Possibly this is an online class. We can only tell you the method.
Maybe you can practice on one another if you don't have patients or you are not able to come. But you have to practice in order to get that feel, because we actually feel with the tip of the middle finger as to where the position of the trachea is. So does that answer your question?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Yes.
So any more questions, we'll be happy to take them.
Hello,
because we just have 8 minutes.
I will speak to you later on, okay?
We just have 8 minutes before we end this group.
No, let us continue.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
Madam, what is pneumothorax click?
Okay, say Shak. Please repeat.
Ma'am, what is pneumothorax click in added sound?
Pneumothorax split.
Click.
In added sound, we have crepitation, bronchi, pleural rub, those egophony, whispering pectorality, but pneumothorax. These are the added sounds. Like bronchi can be, in crepitations can be wet and dry. Dry crepitations as well as different types of sound in whispering pectorality. These are the added sounds. Egophony, but
The clicking or crackling sound or crackling sound, which is heard over the cardiac apex. So usually what causes pericarditis. That is can be due to
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Okay, so what I need to say is this is a clicking or crack. Okay, which is usually heard over the cardiac apex, and it is often mistaken to be heard in pericarditis. But actually, it is due to a small pneumothorax on the left side, which is called, and it is due to the passing of the air in cavity, and which is causing this clicking sound. And this type of pneumothorax is generally a small left-sided one, and it causes, and this is often called noisy pneumothorax. Okay, so this is for theoretical. I don't think you will get such findings in pediatric patients.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
But yes, if you wanted to.
in pediatrics is very important, like in inspection, shape and size of the chest, whether there is just excavatum chest or in pigeon chest, it will be prominent sternum. And in pectus excavatum, they'll be depressed. Shape, size. Understood? Inspection is very important. If there is pleural effusion or a massive empyema, there can be full. Asymmetry is important. If there is fibrosis, long continued collapse, there can be a depression. It is also very important in inspection to see scoliosis, whether there is kyphosis. So spine, examination of the spine is also important. Important to do the examination thoroughly. In general survey regarding respiratory, it is important to see the respiratory rate, respiration character, rate, rhythm, whether there is any intercostal muscle retraction, subcostal suction, suprasternal suction, and asymmetry of the chest. Inspection. And when you go to palpation, even movement of the chest is important when you do inspection. Which part, so which part is moving less? There may be pathology there. We want you to develop these things in the practical examination of a child.
So I have not mentioned it. So what is head bobbing? Anybody can unmute and say, what is head bobbing? Why is it seen? What is the mechanism by which you see a child having head bobbing? Because these are inspection findings. So anybody can unmute and say, what is head bobbing? And why does it happen? Nobody?
No.
Any volunteers I have? Some volunteers?
I'm nodding off head with each ventricular contraction.
contraction. What ventricle? So
Ma'am, in accessory muscle of respiration, the sternocleidomastoid, due to excess action of sternocleidomastoid, the head bobs.
Very good. So it is not only the sternocleidomastoid, it is also muscle. Okay. And it is the respiratory distress. When these accessory muscles, they are not accessory muscles of respiration, right? Gallinae, the scalenus, and the sternocleidomastoid, they move only when the normal inspiratory, expiratory, and the diaphragmatic muscles are not able to achieve the air exchange, which is necessary. That is when the child is having severe respiratory distress. In that case, if you have these, then the child will present with head bobbing, head nodding, and then you should always suspect. So if you, in the ER, if you see such a child having head bobbing, always try to triage the child and give them maximum priority attention because the child is having severe respiratory distress, right? So it is a marker of severe respiratory distress. So in a child with ER, in the ER, what are the red flag signs which you should look for? No. 40 minutes অবধি হবে তারপর এটা কেটে যাবে তারপর আবার নেক্সট একটা গ্রুপ এটা তো এই গ্রুপে 34 জন আছে এটা আমার 40 মিনিটস দেখালো একটা 10 মিনিটস আর এক্সটেনশন করব তারপরে এবার অন্য লিংক দিয়ে জয়েন করতে সো আর देयर এনি মোর কোশ্চেনস
Can anyone say what is succussion splash? Have you gone through it? Have you heard of it?
Ma'am, it is present in hydropneumothorax.
Yes. Hydropneumothorax. Have you seen it in medicine? Not so much in pediatrics, but have you seen it in medicine? In which condition do you get succussion splash?
Ma'am, in medicine we have in hydropneumothorax, or if you have a gastric outlet of
gastric outlet So have you gone through the audio of the breath sounds and the added sounds which were added in the slides? Have you been able to hear them?
Could you hear the bronchial breath sound, vesicular breath sound? Can anyone tell me what are the characteristics of vesicular breath sound?
the inspiratory phase is longer than the expiratory phase. There is no gap in between the inspiratory and the expiratory, and it has a lower pitch than the bronchial sound.
This is the theoretical one. Have you heard? You can even practice it at home in a normal person. Normal person has make a practice of hearing it. Okay. And bronchial breath sound, what are the characteristics? Anyone, someone else say?
Ma'am, hollow tubular sound.
Those are types. But what are the characteristics of bronchial breath sound?
Ma'am, it's a high pitched sound. There is a gap between the inspiratory phase and the expiratory phase.
And what are the pathological situation where you get bronchial breath sound?
In case of pneumonia, ma'am, consolidation, fibrosis, collapse.
Collapse bronchus.
Yes.
COPD, ma'am.
Bronchial breath. tubular, bronchovesicular, cavernous. Normally it is audible over the trachea. You can put the trachea and hear the characteristics of the bronchial breath sound.
So apart from the trachea and the bronchi, I mean, we also can hear normally breath sound, this thing, bronchial breath sound in the lower cervical vertebra, over the lower cervical vertebra also. If you auscultate from the back side, then we will be able to hear normal bronchial breath sound that is normally present. And abnormal conditions, as you have mentioned, in those conditions like cavity with patent bronchus, consolidation,
the patent bronchus,
or collapse with a patent bronchus. In all these situations, you can have abnormal breath sounds. I mean, bronchial breath sound. So I think we can end this session and be prepared for the next group. Are you there on board? Hello. Then we can end this session for this group and then take up the next group. Okay. I hope nobody has any questions. If you have doubts, you can always come to the department for clearing. Okay? Okay. The PowerPoint and the videos were uploaded earlier. I hope everybody has gone through them. And so if you have any doubts, you answer, to question us. And we will be happy to take your questions. So this is basically our hearing session. And then we can also ask a few questions if you want. We have ma'am with us.
So how many students have come? 27. Respiratory system examination is very important part. All of you during internship, you will get lots of cases with respiratory system involvement. First is important history taking. You have gone through the slides. All of you have gone through the slides.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you heard the audios?
So any volunteers have you?
Achha, what are the different types of respiration? Initially, we had given one slide where there was different types of respiration.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Could you understand that slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Hypopnea, Kushmal's breathing, Wyatt's breathing, I think chain strokes. Okay, you ask any difficulty you have. In 6th semester, when you were supposed to be posted for 1 month,
Hello, ma'am.
pediatrics, did you?
Hello.
Yes.
ম্যাম চাইনিজ স্ট্রোকস আর বিটপস এর মধ্যে মানে ডিফারেন্সটা কি একটু মানে বলবেন? মানে ওটা একটুখানি যা মানে গ্রাফটা দেখতে পাচ্ছি প্রায় একই, সেই জন্য একটু বলছি।
The screen?
Share.
It does. No? So I think it was quite self-explanatory, right?
Read it out.
So is my screen visible?
Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
In Cheyne-Stokes breathing, gradually increasing and then it decreases.
So there
and
is,
with periods of apnea in between.
It is a kind of cyclical breathing. And then suddenly there is a period of apnea. And then again, you start increasing the depth of breathing, and it's a kind of
raised intracranial pressure.
So even this varies. So you can see the graph in Cheyne-Stokes breathing, the ones are of different amplitudes. Can you appreciate that? Whoever
Yes.
has asked the question. So can you appreciate that these are not equal? There is a
Gradual, there is increase and decrease, and then apnea. But in Wyatt's breathing, those intermittent, same type, deep,
same type, and there are short pauses in between the deep gasping respiration. So
but there is not the waxing and waning, which occurs
no
in
waxing and waning,
which
there is
occurs
no
in
cycle.
Cheyne-Stokes. But it is one type of breathing, and then apnea again the same type. That is Wyatt's breathing in head injury.
Ma'am, in a child, how we will distinguish whether it is tachypnea or Kussmaul's?
So in tachypnea, it is only the rate which is increased. It's very easily. Whereas
In Kussmaul, there's tachypnea as well as hyperapnea.
The depth
Both.
of breathing is also increased.
Both tachypnea and hyperapnea.
Yeah.
And in tachypnea means only rate is increasing, respiration. And Kussmaul's occurs in metabolic acidosis, diabetic ketoacidosis, and also renal failure.
In tachypnea, you can have shallow breathing also. If the child is having severe distress, then the child can breathe shallow, need not be hyperapnea. But in Kussmaul's, there has to be a coexistence of both these factors, tachypnea and hyperapnea. So is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, please explain apneustic pattern of breathing.
Apneustic is prolonged inspiratory phase with shortened expiratory phase. That is, we have an apneustic center in the brain. So when that apneustic, which actually controls the depth of inspiration, which is required for normal breathing. So when there is a brainstem lesion and the apneustic center, the connections is gone, then the prolonged inspiratory phase continues, even that which is not required. So you have a deep inspiration and then a very shortened expiratory phase. That is a type of apneustic breathing. Usually brainstem lesions will present with apneustic breathing because the apneustic center is damaged, which controls the depth and the duration of inspiration. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what will be the long case in respiratory in pediatrics, ma'am?
Long case. Generally, you can get pleural effusion. It may be also empyema or pleural effusion like that. There can be pneumothorax. There can be a consolidation pneumonia case.
Pneumonia with bronchial breathing.
Understood. That can occur in respiration. And so it is very important to know how to do the respiratory system examination.
Ma'am, all the respiratory examination will be done in sitting position.
No, not always. You have to see the patient lying down You have to stand at the head end or foot end and see whether there is asymmetry. Inspection. Movement also. As well as you have to make the patient sit and see whether there is asymmetry, kyphosis, scoliosis. So spine is examination also important. So examination of the respiratory system, lying down, sitting, everything is important. In sitting you have to do because
Percast the back.
When you want to examine the back, the supra, the interscapular, infrascapular, all this you have to make the patient sitting position. Always this back, side, upper and lower, the side portion when you have to examine the right and the left side, you have to make the patient sit with putting the hands up. So both lying down and sitting posture, both is important.
Ma'am, is it possible to distinguish means Ronchi or it is Viz?
And Ronchi is the auscultatory finding which we see. There is hardly any difference. In fact, it is quite synonymously used, both of these.
And then what we will mention in means while writing history long test, what we will write, what I have got in auscultation.
Better to write Ronchi?
We sometimes
in asthma we mention wheeze, chronic wheeze, repeated and all that. But better to write Ronchi and Krebs. These are the two added sounds. Crackles is crepitations, which may be dry or wet. Dry, where do you get dry Krebs? Pneumonia, pulmonary edema.
So there is some sound.
Ma'am, dry crepitation or wet crepitation एक तो मुझे देना मैम.
It has to be perceived, felt. Dry in a tuberculosis, you can get patients, and it may be dry also. Tuberculosis, pneumonia, pulmonary edema, dry Krebs. But wet Krebs when there is consolidation, then pneumonia, you can get wet crepitation.
If you have a lot of exudates or you have
bronchiectasis,
think of wet crepitation.
And fine crackles, coarse crackles, dry or wet, all are these are different or mean some similarities?
No, it is not similar. Fine and coarse, definitely it is different. It is in the gradation.
No, not necessarily. Coarse is you generally hear in bronchiectasis or in those with having exudates, then you have coarse crepitations. Fine is in pulmonary edema, you can have fine crepitations. So these are actually you have to train. I'm not saying in pediatrics it is easy to get all these and try to, and you will be able to identify crepitations. That is important. Crepitations, breath sounds.
Fine Krebs are mild ones you find at the base of the chest, in the lungs. It is also present in congestive cardiac failure. Fine Krebs. But coarse Krebs is typical of bronchopneumonia, infection, bronchiectasis. When there is a lot of exudate, lot of expectoration, bronchopneumonia, throughout the chest you're getting coarse Krebs. You can hear both inspiration, expiration, loud one. Fine Krebs, they are mild in the base of the heart. In case of pulmonary edema, left ventricular failure, then also mild pneumonia, like that you can get. Understand? So the gradation is also important. Coarse Krebs, you can almost hear loud ones. And the quality is also very loud. This is the difference. And কি হচ্ছে? বলো
So in a child, we should look for any overt breathing patterns that may be evident and any overt signs of respiratory distress. At first.
The audio tab.
By doing this online practical class, we are just stimulating you to know how to see a case. It is not ideal technique of teaching palpation, percussion, because that has to be done on bedside.
Respiratory system proper should be carried out under these.
An auscultation you have to hear. So let us listen to the sounds.
It sounds.
We are demonstrating how to see movement of the chest. This is what you have to practice for another person.
So this is how we see the movement of the chest. This is done in intraclavicular region. This is mammary and inframammary. You can also take a photo in between the two thumbs in order to demonstrate. This is, he is seeing the movement of the axillary regions. With the movement of your hand, you have to compare basically. So it takes a lot of training and a lot of practice. Then you go to the posterior chest wall, right? And you see the interscapular. What you see, the interscapular and the transcapular. You can also take a photo here. And this is the apical region palpation when you are seeing the movement. This is how area by area he is demonstrating vocal premises.
To hear vocal premises, you have to say some word with a high frequency, 99, nasal, 99, or tin, tin, tin.
Ma'am, what abnormality means we will get by doing this maneuver?
So vocal fremitus is the vibration of the voice as it passes through the vocal cord and through the respiratory tract. And vocal fremitus, so in what conditions will it be increased? So we have seen that sound travels more in solid medium. So in case of consolidation, in case of consolidation, the vocal fremitus will be increased when compared to any condition in which there is fluid or pus in the pleural cavity. As in empyema or pleural effusion, it will be decreased. But in consolidation, that is pneumonia, you will find that the vocal fremitus is increased. And vocal resonance is an auscultatory counterpart of the vocal fremitus.
So you, in your case, you have to corroborate same. Vocal fremitus and vocal resonance should be same. Vocal fremitus is a palpatory finding and vocal resonance is auscultatory finding. To differentiate between pleural effusion and normal lung, consolidation, normal lung. This is the significance.
This is percussion. So, a little about the rules of percussion. The middle finger of the left hand should be placed on the chest, and the middle phalanx, which should be very firmly opposed to the chest wall, should be hit with the tip of the middle finger of the right hand. And the movements should be from the wrist, and the normal resonant note should be compared with the corresponding side of the chest wall.
This is actually how you do the percussion. But if you listen to all this, it will not help you in percussion because you have to practice. You have to do it area by area as we have done in vocal fremitus, resonance, it should be done in a systematic manner in respiratory system.
You have to practice
This
how
is
to
a
do
slide
percussion.
showing the rules of percussion in the picture.
Ma'am, vocal fremiters, I have got some finding. Yes, there can be consolidation. Then, ma'am, why we need to confirm with auscultatory means vocal resonance? Can there be any difference? I mean, I'm getting finding positive in fremiters, but negative in vocal resonance.
No, that will not tally. You have to have to make your case diagnosed. To come to your diagnosis, it has to tally. Supposing vocal fremiters is increased, that will also happen in vocal resonance. It cannot be different.
It should be the same, because it's the same thing you're doing. You are doing it with your hand in palpation, and in auscultation, it should be more accurate because you are auscultating with a stethoscope, which is actually amplifying the sound or the effect. So you should always, it helps to confirm your palpatory findings.
So in palpation, you see position of trachea, position of apex.
Then
movement,
you confirm with your auscultation.
Movement of the chest, and also the vocal fremiters.
मैम कॉइन परकशन करते হবে কি means normally যা percussion আছে ওটাই করব?
Coin percussion, no, pediatrics is not needed.
Only shifting dullness and normal percussion and liver dullness, only these three things.
It is very important to see the upper border of liver dullness. In general survey, many points also point towards respiratory disease, like clubbing, respiratory rate, heart rate. Heart rate is also important. Cyanosis, edema. Then also, you have to describe the respiratory rate, the rhythm, the character, any typical type of respiration. And during examination, you have to see whether there is intercostal suction, subcostal suction, suprasternal suction. In distress, all this becomes prominent. And also in inspection, very important, any in bulging, there may be venous prominence. All this you have to see. Whatever you see, you have to note it. Inspection is in respiratory case is very important. Whether there is deformity any side due to long-term fibrosis, there can be some indrawing asymmetry. There can be a pushed down, like at the back. There can be also some fibrosis or collapse in one segment, can lead to some asymmetry. Respiration deals with archaea point. How many types of cyanosis have you all of you have seen cyanosis?
No ma'am, কিন্তু জানি এই দু টাইপ হয় সেন্ট্রাল আর পেরিফেরাল।
6th semester এ কিছু সাইনোসিস আমি তো মনে হয় congenital cyanotic heart disease একটা আছে in respiration towards respiratory failure there'll be central cyanosis. You cannot miss cyanosis.
Stop share or what?
ঠিক আছে হয়ে গেছে না
এটা এই গ্রুপটা হয়ে গেছে
ম্যাম একটা জাস্ট ডাউট ছিল হ্যালো
yeah please
ম্যাম জানি না ঠিক কিনা হচ্ছে প্রশ্নটা কিন্তু মানে কি ব্রঙ্কোভেসিকুলার breath sound ki ma'am abnormal breath sound?
Yes. Normal
Acha
is
ma'am,
breath sound. Bronchovesicular, it's an abnormal breath sound. It's one type of bronchial breath sound.
Yes. So what are the sites of normal bronchial breath sound? Normal bronchial breath sound is also heard, right?
Trachea.
Trachea, bronchus, and I want to hear the third one. That's why I'm asking the question. Is it over the
posterior chest wall?
Posterior chest wall or over the lower cervical vertebra. These are the areas of normal bronchial breath sound. And abnormal, definitely you know where it is heard. That is, it is heard in consolidation, it is heard in collapse or cavity with a patent bronchus. So all these conditions, you can have an abnormal bronchial breath sound. Vesicular is a normal sound which we hear. And when do you see head bobbing and why do you see head bobbing? What is head bobbing? So a child comes in the ER and you see the child has head bobbing. So what should you do? Or what is the implication? Any volunteers?
I'm severe respiratory distress.
Okay. And what is the mechanism by which you have head bobbing?
Ma'am, the sternocleidomastoid acts as an accessory muscle for breathing. So that is why.
Yeah, very good. So it is not only the sternocleidomastoid, it is the scalenus. It is also there and it is operative. That is, the accessory muscles of respiration are working. Therefore, the child is having severe.
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever you have a child, you have to try it. Important and priority management. Right? Try and assess the work of breathing, because the work of breathing is very high as the accessory muscles are working, right? Any more questions? এখানে কিন্তু 188 কে দেখলাম। আচ্ছা, তার মানে নেক্সট গ্রুপটায় বাকি।
তাই শোনো না, সেদিন যে প্রশ্নটা বার করলাম দিয়ে
Yes, please.
আচ্ছা,
Yes.
সুদীপ্ত, তোমাদের তো প্ল্যান হবে নভেম্বরে।
এটা তাহলে end. So good afternoon, students. So we are here with the third batch. If you have any questions, I hope all of you have gone through the slides and the videos that were uploaded in the respiratory system examination. You're most welcome to ask any doubts and clear your doubts or ask any questions. We would be happy to take them. question नहीं है।
Actually, respiratory system examination is important because there'll be a long case in it. Short case, as you know, in undergraduate is newborn. GI, respiratory, cardiovascular, all this comes under long case. So it is important to do general survey, learn how to do general survey and systemic examination. In general survey, the most important points are to elicit the type of respiration, the rate, rhythm, character, then cyanosis, then other points which lead to respiratory system examination. Then comes the general, then comes the systemic examination.
Please unmute, please mute all the others because otherwise this ambient sound will be very disturbing.
Can you hear us? Please ask some any doubts. Then we will ask you questions otherwise, and you have to answer.
Then one by one, I think we should ask questions.
So anyone? So what are the points you will have to see in inspection? Any one of you say? You have gone into the respiratory system examination.
Can you follow? So Trishit Shah, you have been asked to unmute, but I'm not sure whether you will be able to unmute. You have to unmute from your end also. কিছু বলবে না মনে হয় আপনি আছেন যেহেতু
Yes, ma'am.
So Trishit Shah, in inspection, what are the points that you will see?
Shape of the chest, movement of the chest, any visible scar mark or
very good scars,
or any
veins.
surgical interruption like chest drain or chest drain.
Very good.
And besides, you also have to see certain things of general survey, especially you have to have an assessment whether the child is in distress or not, because that is the first and foremost thing which you have to do in order to triage the patient. Because if the child is having severe distress, then you should act accordingly. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Trishit.
Now someone volunteered to say what are the also there are different shapes of this chest. Generally in a child it is circular, but sometimes it may be barrel shaped, no? Sometimes
so what are the peculiar shapes of the chest? So Kushal Chatterjee, you have been asked to unmute, please, and from your end as well, and maybe you can try and answer this question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what are the peculiar shapes of the chest that you can get while in examining a child with respiratory complaints?
Barrel chest.
Okay.
Pigeon chest.
Okay.
And intercostal sucking of the
suction. That is not the shape. That is one
that is not
phenomenon.
the shape. That is one finding which you can see in inspection.
Funnel chest.
Funnel chest.
Infection can lead to fibrosis and funnel
Pes excavatum, pes carinatum.
Pes na, pes kulapa.
Pectus. Pectus. Pectus excavatum, that means drawing of the sternum. Protuberant of the sternum. Very important finding in inspection is whether there is a Rickety rosary, Harrison sulcus, costochondral junction prominence. All this is important.
Okay,
and also spine, examination of the spine, whether there is any
scoliosis, kyphosis, lordosis that can affect the lung function.
So we have finished inspection. Now let us go into palpation. From Shupra to Danabe.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, how can we differentiate between rickety rosary and scorbutic rosary?
So in rickety rosary, it will be rounded, right? While scorbutic rosary is classically known to be sharp if you on palpation. And there will always be tenderness on scorbutic rosary. That is, scurvy itself is a very tender condition. Okay, it is a very painful condition because the collagen is affected and there will be pericapillary hemorrhages, which are very sine qua non of vitamin C deficiency. So you can get a typical frog-like posture, which is very typical of scurvy, which is actually due to pain and limitation of movement. So scorbutic rosary is typically sharp and painful than rickety rosary. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So this is about inspection. In palpation, what do you do? Someone volunteer and say, what do you do for palpation? Sutitho.
You have been asked to unmute from your end as well. And can you tell us the palpatory findings?
Yes.
What will you palpate in a respiratory system?
In palpation, what are the steps? What steps do you follow one by one? Palpate. Do you examine? Position. Very good. And also position of the apex bit. Apex. Movement.
Yes, then. Okay.
So, while seeing these movements in front, you see the apical, then mammary, inframammary. And in the side, upper and lower. At the back, you see interscapular, infrascapular, suprascapular. Now, interscapular, infrascapular, and suprascapular. Yes. So these are the parts you see the movement. You also see the buccal femmeters. Anything else in palpation? No. Then someone else say about the auscultation. What findings do you get in auscultation?
Modeep, you have been asked to unmute from your end. Can you please volunteer and tell us what you see in auscultation?
Hello. Ma'am, area-wise, we have to actually auscultate for the breath sounds, that whether we hear the normal vesicular breath sounds or the bronchial breath sounds. Normally, we can hear the bronchial breath sounds in and around the area of trachea. And we have to look for any added or adventitious sounds like wheeze, crepitations, rhonchi, and we have coarse crepitations and fine crepitations. or we can also say that we have dry and wet crepitations.
Crepitations are also called crackles. And also regarding adventitious sounds, how many types? These are adventitious or added sounds. Tell me what is the characteristic of vesicular breath sound? So I
Vesicular.
Say, please.
Okay, you can say.
And vesicular breath sound is low pitched. It will be a bit musical and rumbling type of sound, with the inspiratory phase is more than the expiratory phase, approximately 3:1, and there is no gap between inspiration and expiration.
Okay. So anybody can tell about the bronchial breath sound? What is the character and how to differentiate? So Ravi Tiwari, you have been asked to unmute from your end, please, and tell us about the bronchial breath sound character.
Yes.
So are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Can you please tell us?
Bronchial sounds are loud and high pitched. There is a gap between inspiration and expiration.
Okay.
And they are heard on the trachea. The duration of inspiration is shortened.
And that of expiration is prolonged in
Yes.
bronchial breath, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What are the normal sites of normal bronchial breath sound, which is audible in a normal child or a subject? Where else? I mean, you know, trachea bronchi. Where else will you get normal?
Trachea, on the trachea.
No, I know trachea bronchi, but where? It is usually on the back of posterior chest wall. Along the cervical vertebra, you can get normal breath sound, bronchial breath sound, right? And where
Yes,
will you get abnormal breath sound? Abnormal bronchial breath sound?
I don't know.
Abnormal bronchial breath sound. Okay, so you don't know, you read up, it's everything is there. Next, maybe Vinalini, you are asked to unmute from your end. And can you tell us where you will get bronchial breath sound abnormal?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, we are
you are very
audible.
clearly audible.
Oh, so the bronchial breath sounds can be heard in consolidation after during pneumonia. They can be heard.
Consolidation with the patent bronchus. Patent bronchus. Bronchus is not patent.
Hello?
Yes, consolidation. Very good. Very good. Consolidation then.
Ma'am, they can also be heard when there is fibrosis of the patent bronchus. And or collapse of the bronchus.
Collapse?
So you
Collapse
have
of
to
the
have
lung parenchyma with the patent bronchus, because bronchial breath sound.
Yes, ma'am.
How many types of bronchial breath sound are there?
Ma'am, I can't hear your question. Can you repeat that once?
Types of bronchial breath sounds are there.
Hello?
Tubular, cavernous.
The ma'am is asking, what are the types of bronchial breath sound? Am I audible?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now. Ma'am, so there can be a cavernous type of breath sound.
Very good.
And amphoric breath sound. And cavernous is, yes, ma'am. A cavernous breath sound is of lower pitch, and amphoric breath sound is more high pitched, and it has this whistling character.
Do you know what is egophony?
Ma'am?
Have you heard of the word? Egophony.
Ma'am is asking, what is ego? Have you heard?
This is nasal intonation. When the patient says ack, 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 you will hear in your ear with a nasal intonation, as if a goat is bleating. that is
Yes, ma'am.
found
When there's
then
vocal resonance.
I, not vocal resonance. It is found upper level of the fluid, even also over consolidation, the patent bronchus.
Yes, ma'am.
Special type of sound in which it is a nasal quality and has a bleating sound, like that of a
Yes,
goat.
ma'am.
It is usually
Yes,
seen
ma'am.
in the upper border of the an effusion. Okay.
Always
Yes,
also in a consolidation, the bronchus patent, bronchial breath sound is the added sound, but the echophony is one finding which you can exhibit above a consolidation.
Ma'am, is this specific for consolidations?
Yes, with not only over here, also it is found in above a fluid level.
Okay.
Where do you get the fine crepes?
Ma'am, they're heard in the peripheral bronchioles and alveoli.
Are found in case of pulmonary edema. It can be found even in heart failure and coarse crepes. They are seen in bronchopneumonia, in when there is bronchiectasis, cystic fibrosis. All these conditions you get coarse crepitations.
Coarse crepitations.
Okay, so if anybody has any doubt, you are most welcome to clear your doubts. And if not, then we will think of ending the session actually.
Any more? Have you gone through all the presentation? Do you have any questions to ask? Then if you don't have, we can ask you. So actually, X-rays are also a very important corroborative finding from which we come to a diagnosis. After taking history, the whole examination of the respiratory system and general survey, then we go into the investigations. And X-ray will be one table in your final professional practical exam. But in long case, can be from respiratory system, cardiovascular, as well as GI. These are the systems which we cover in long case.
Yeah.
Do you have any doubts?
So, Saptarshi Ghosh, you asked to unmute from your end. If you have any doubts, you can.
Excuse me, ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please.
And the fact that you told that egophony can be found near the upper border of pleural effusion, is it because per se of the effusion or is it because of the compression collapse of the upper lobe of the lung?
Very good. It is also due to compression. Do you know what is percussion splash? You heard of the word?
Yes, ma'am, it's seen in hydropneumothorax.
Okay.
Okay, I think if you have further doubts, you can always come and clear your doubts in the department. With that, I would like to end the session. Please go through the slides. They are self-explanatory, and go to the videos and the audio which has been attached. If you have any doubts, you can always come up. With that, I would like to end the session. Shutitho, you're there? Okay, so we are ending the session.
Anything else?